This is Reality Bytes, in association with Sovereign Independent UK and One World Chronicle.
Welcome to Reality Bytes Radio on the 17th of October 2013. We were supposed to have Kevin in it, but again, for the third time, he's not made an appearance. So, well, what can I say without swearing? I've got Ivor Kellock standing by. He was supposed to be on last week when we were up in Fraserburgh, up in Scotland, but his connection wasn't too good. But we're going to get Ivor on this week talking about social media, pros, cons. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are fairly dubious about the likes of Facebook and Twitter, including myself. I'm not on Facebook or Twitter, but we do have a community press group, Facebook page and Twitter account and all the other little social media things which I really have nothing to do with, so that's somebody else's baby. But just this week, there's a couple of articles on the community press website and the Sovereign Independent website, but there's been a lot said about food banks this week. Nearly every day this week there's something about food banks in the paper. Now, an organisation called the Trussell Trust brought out a report. They're apparently the biggest providers of food banks, and they're a charity, apparently. And they're saying that over 350,000 people received 3 days emergency food from the Trussell Trust food banks between April and September this year. That's triple the numbers helped in the same period last year. Yet, I was hearing on the radio this morning coming into the office here that the recession's over. Things are growing again. We should be cautious of a looming, property bubble and all that rubbish. And of course, the gas companies putting the prices up by 9%, and David Cameron saying we should run away from British Gas and then go to somebody else who's going to charge us 9% more. I don't see the difference myself. Maybe it's one of his chums he wants us to run to who owns a utility company or something. But getting back to the food banks, there's no other word. It's absolutely scandalous that in this day and age, the 21st century, the second decade of the 21st century, that we have people basically standing in soup kitchens, getting food handouts from people, ordinary people. This isn't coming from government agencies or anything, but this is ordinary people actually buying extra food to give to people who simply can't afford to buy it. And we're not talking about drunks and drug addicts or anybody who finds himself in that predicament. We're talking about ordinary people here, just ordinary people with children who perhaps lost their job. Husband lost a job, wife lost a job, or both lost their jobs. Actually having to what amounts to beg for the basics of life. And this is Cameron's Big Society and Blair's legacy, Brown, and the long list of characters that came before them, who were all just as culpable for the state this country's in today. But food banks. The Trussell Trust, incidentally, I think I saw this covered in the UK column, but I was just coincidentally, I'd written this article for the community press group yesterday. The Trussell Trust, they only operate in two countries, and the other one's Bulgaria. Now, I've spent a bit of time in Bulgaria, and I've seen the poverty there. And if Britain's going to be reduced to that kind of level of, I suppose they call it sustainability, then we're in serious trouble. As if people didn't know that already. But people in Bulgaria can't even put glass in their windows. That's the kind of level of poverty you've got there in some of the villages. And they very rarely have 3 meals a day. Many people are not like that. And the only way they do actually sustain themselves is to grow their own food, which, if the brown stuff really did hit the fan, then they'd survive far better than us. So in terms of who's the richer country in terms of food supply, well, you'd have to say Bulgaria is far better off than we are. Because, they've got the supermarkets over there as well, just been introduced over the last few years. But in the villages, everybody grows food. And I mean, everybody. There's not gardens aren't there for putting up swing parks and decking over there. You don't plant food in the garden, you're going to starve. Simple as that. And as I said, the Trussell Trust only operates in Bulgaria and the UK, so you've got to wonder if that's what's coming here. And how many people will be ripping up their decking to try and plant some crops when it's too late. So the other aspect of it, of course, is we're always told there's food shortages. Now, food shortages have been created deliberately since 1962, since the Common Agricultural Policy was brought in, and farmers are paid not to grow any food. So I mean, if you want a food shortage, there you go. Just pay people not to grow any. Pay the farmers not to actually do what it is they're supposed to be doing, and that's growing food. Have them filling in endless reams of paperwork to get handouts from the EU SSR over there in Brussels, which is basically the new Soviet Union, as many people have worked out by now. But yeah, you pay the farmers not to grow any food. You start growing crops which are really of negligible benefit to the country, like sugar beets, rapeseed, and things of that nature, which you can't eat basically. Sugar beet, I believe, is highly toxic to the soil, so nothing else will grow in it. Rapeseed, what do we need rapeseed oil for? There's plenty of other oils out there we could be having, especially as it's been associated for many, many years, even since I was a child, and they first started growing this stuff with breathing problems, respiratory problems, asthma, things like that. So when these parasitical politicians, I'll call them, for want of a non-swear word, start telling us there's food shortages and there's too many people, well, just look in the fields and see what's being grown, because nothing's being grown virtually. I remember a couple of years ago being up in Cambridgeshire. I used to live up there, and there was fields and fields of potatoes, sugar beets, onions, that kind of thing. But when they harvested them, there was tons and tons of this stuff just left lying rotten on the surface of every field, because it wasn't economical to pick it up. Which if there really was a food shortage, I'm sure everybody would be picking them up. The people would be out of their houses picking them up. But I guess if you did that, you'd be arrested for theft or something. But anyway, yeah, that's food shortages for you. I mean, people really need to start saving some food, dry foods. I mean, whatever, beans, lentils, you name it. There's plenty of that kind of stuff out there, and it is fairly cheap. And I say fairly cheap. It's obviously it's relative to how much money people have, but it is relatively cheap, shall we say. You get a lot for your money, as it were. Of course, the food banks. I mean, people aren't buying the best of produce to hand into food banks. They're buying, and through no fault of their own, it's just what they can afford themselves. But they're trying to help. But the food that's going into food banks will not be high quality food, that's for sure. And I believe there's vouchers available which you can't buy certain foods with, like meat and fresh vegetables, which kind of defeats the purpose, really. I don't know what you're supposed to use them for, soap powder or something, I don't know. So yeah, the general population is basically being fed junk in the supermarkets, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what food you pick off the supermarket's shelves. If it says it's organic, well, what does that mean? It just means it's real food, as opposed to artificial food. All food should be organic, shouldn't it? One would think. And of course, we're led to believe that organic is better for you and healthier for you, which would, in pure logic, tell you that the rest of it's not good for you and it's unhealthy. So why is it on the shelf in the first place? You have to wonder, don't you? Well, going on from people struggling to eat, well, now they're going to struggle to heat, because of course British Gas is putting up the prices by 9%. I think some of the electricity companies by between 9 and 11%. And this is of course the great market dictating the price of everything. The great privatisation lobby, who have forced all this down our throats and sold British Gas, British Steel, all the utility companies, British Telecom, all of them, to their cronies, basically, and their friends, and they've all had big backhanders, whether that happens when they're in office or out of office. They all get their rewards when they leave, that's for sure. We'll have to look at Tony Blair to see that. And he's what is he worth now? 20 million or something. Well, he didn't get that for helping out the local Parent Teachers Association, did he? So yeah, we're going to be sitting in our homes wondering whether we can turn the heating on. I suppose if you've not got any food, then you don't have to turn the cooker on to heat up, do you? So maybe that's part of it. You can save your gas that way. But do I sound bitter? I think so. I think I do. So yeah, the electricity is going up as well. So we've to apparently run away from British Gas, according to David Cameron, and go to another company who's going to fleece us just as much. As I say, maybe he's got shares in another company. Who knows? Well, some of his family, some of his Fabian Society, Astor relatives, perhaps own those companies. Who knows? Who am I to say? Just a theory. But apparently our bills are going up to £1,465 a year. I don't know what kind of house that is, but yeah. When are people going to take the power back? Literally, one has to wonder. But well, let's go to America. Obama. Americans are fed up with Washington. Well, I wonder why. I mean, what planet are these people living on? And he says that the shutdown in America has damaged their credibility. Well, what credibility do they have? It's the same as the UK. We can't. We've got to restore confidence in the banking industry. We've got to restore confidence in the government. Well, when did anybody have any confidence in either of them? I've never seen any government that I would have confidence in to do anything. I don't think David Cameron would ever manage one day on a paper round, never mind running the country. He's just a fool. But a very well paid fool, and I'm sure a very well rewarded fool once he's voted out of office. Because let's face it, folks, we never vote anybody in, do we? We always vote the last crooks out in the hopes that the new crooks will do something better. Well, they never have done since I've been born. Not that I can remember when I was born, of course, but I'm 50 years old now and I've never seen a politician do anything right, ever. And I don't know anybody who has. Speak to my parents, and I speak to people older than me, and they'll say, "Oh, but they did that, they did that, they did that." Well, look where we are now. I don't see anything getting better. Do you? Well, moving on a little bit. I did hear somebody that the Queen was getting a rather large pay rise. I think 22%. So she was getting another couple of million or something. But our son, Prince Charlie Boy, says that the pension industry is unfit for purpose and that his grandchildren are going to suffer. Do people really believe this rubbish from these inbred parasites? Really? It's almost like the footage that people saw of Prince Harry apparently going out and killing the Taliban with his squeaky clean boots on that had never been trodden whatsoever. Supposedly in the desert in a tent and all the rest of it, looking very much like a TV studio. If anybody truly believes that Prince Harry was anywhere near the Afghan front or the Iraqi front, well, got a bridge on the moon who could sell you. So Charlie thinks that his grandchildren are going to suffer because the pensions industry is in a mess. Well, maybe he should have a word with his friends in the pension industry and sort it out. And his bank that's getting investigated, or his mum's bank that's getting investigated for fraud and all the rest of it. Yeah, nice folk. Let's go over to Germany. I had to reply to an article on this Greenpeace debacle in Russia, in which 30 of these idiots decided to jump on a Russian oil platform and expect to get away with it. I spoke to somebody who was advocating that we should support these people, and I put it to them that what if 30 Middle Eastern climate activists had tried to jump on a Scottish oil rig in the North Sea? Do you think they'd actually got on it without being shot? And there was no answer to that, of course, but because this is Greenpeace, people think we should be going out there and supporting them. Well, Greenpeace aren't a benevolent organisation. They don't like people, so why should we like them? Why should we waste our time? trying to get these people arrested. If they want to be stupid enough to do stuff like that for publicity, then, suffer the consequences. I wouldn't do it, just lunacy. But Angela Merkel has told Russia's President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday of her concerns over the arrest of Greenpeace activists after an Arctic drilling protest and urged a swift resolution of the case. The 30 environmentalists, well, some would call them extremists. Anybody that attempts to invade an oil rig is not an environmentalist, they're an idiot. So, anybody who's into Greenpeace out there, no apology from me. How much money does this organisation get, and where does it come from? They say it comes from donations, personal donations. Well, it must take a hell of a lot of donations to buy ships and sail them halfway across the world, and then get a lot of people on there. Who's funding them? Who's feeding them? No, people need to realise that all these big so-called environmental groups or NGOs, charities, whatever you want to call them, somebody's funding these people, and they're funding them for a very good reason, and it's for lunacy like this, and to get the world on board with the whole climate change nonsense. And that's why our electricity bills are going up. That's why our gas is going up. That's why our petrol at petrol stations is going up, because these people want us rooted in our homes, unable to do anything because of carbon. Oh, that toxic carbon stuff that we're all made of. Anybody from Greenpeace, they should have a look at their own ad that they put out a year or two ago, which I've posted on the community press website, of the angry young boy who's basically threatening his parents with injury for ruining his future. That's the kind of nice people that Greenpeace are. They want to use Chairman Mao tactics, where they set the children against the parents. And in Mao's China, of course, they set the students against the professors and the tutors in the universities as well, the colleges, whatever they have at the time. And they were dragging them out in the street and beating them to death. This is the same thing. And people just can't seem to understand that we're dealing with very nasty people. But there's a lot of good people in Greenpeace, I'm sure, who think they're doing the right thing, but they really should stop being so gullible and stop being useful idiots for such organisations. And when we talk about dividing generations, we have Alan, what's his name? Sorry, lost it. Alan Milburn coming out and saying that old people are depriving young people of the chance to live a decent life. So again, you have people in positions of power. This guy's an out-and-out Blairite. He worked under Tony Blair all of his political career. And I think I've seen another article today by him talking about another subject, just as disgusting, really. So maybe this guy's going to make a comeback. But I've posted something up on the CPG site today by Frank Scott, who's shown that this guy he was fundamental in the creation of the foundation and trust status for Stafford Hospital, which was cited as one of the main reasons why so many people died there. So he obviously doesn't like old people. He's got a little thing about old people. He's an out-and-out socialist, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. But he says that they should lose their free BBC TV licence. Well, they should lose the BBC altogether, basically. But more important, that's just thrown in as a thing to go, oh, that's terrible. But he wants to withdraw the winter fuel allowances. We've just spoken about how much gas is going up, how much electricity is going up. And this creep, who's been paid by the taxpayer, the very same pensioners he wants to deprive of heat in the winter to heat their homes. This creep wants to freeze people to death, because that's basically what will happen. I think last March, 30,000 people died of what they call, dubiously fuel poverty. No, they died of the cold, because they couldn't heat their homes, because the prices were too high and the taxes were too high, and they were getting screwed left, right and centre by people like him. So, blood on your hands, Mr. Milburn. Blood on your hands, mate. You, Cameron, the whole lot of you. So, I think after that little rant, welcome back to Reality Bytes Radio. I've finished my little rant for this evening, I think, but I may do one later, who knows. We're 17th of October, 2013, and for anybody who tuned in for Kevin Annett, I'll apologise for Kevin again for the third time, and I don't think I'll be asking him back, but there you go. We've got Ivor Kellock, who's going to come on in a minute and talk about social media, the benefits, the pitfalls, and how it can be used to get the word out, basically, because that's his forte, and he's going to kind of explain some of the tricks of the trade, as it were, and we'll speak to him very shortly. In the meantime, there's a gentleman seeking asylum in New Zealand because climate change is happening in his country. I don't know how that works. We're always led to believe that climate change is everywhere. This big bogeyman called climate change for global warming is everywhere, but apparently it's just in this man's country. So don't go there, folks. It might be dangerous. But talking about that. I mentioned Bulgaria earlier, where they grow food, and I've been out there working, and I worked in temperatures of minus 23, I think it was one day, outside, and it went down as far as minus 30 a year or two ago. But in the summer, the temperature can go up to plus 40. So you have a potential 65 to 70 degree swing, and there's food everywhere. So this myth that an extra couple of degrees will kill all the crops is clearly nonsense. You can see it with your own eyes. I mean, anybody who's been in an airplane and flies across Europe in the summer will see food everywhere. Especially the further south you go, the more there is. Because the more sunshine there is, surprisingly enough. But I think, again, this year, I've said it the last 2 or 3 years, that this winter we're going to get hammered again. And, the price rises by the electricity companies and gas prices are just absolutely cynical exploitation of people. Nothing more. And, they're put up to it by the people that own them. And that'd be the usual suspects, the bankers. And I always find it amazing when you say to people, who's benefited from austerity? And they go, oh, nobody. Well, why do we bail out the banks? Didn't the banks benefit from the austerity they created? People just don't get it. It's quite amazing, really, isn't it, folks? But I'll try and get hold of Ivor here and drag him into the conversation if I can, if you bear with me. Just calling Ivor now. What can we say? Thanks to Paula at Awake Radio. Steve, the usual producer, is a bit under the weather at the moment. So Paula's taking over in the background there. Listen away. There's Ivor ringing. So hopefully we'll find out.
Hello.
Hello, Ivor. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
All right.
Yep.
9 o'clock, isn't it?
Well, you can come on. You're on live now, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Give me 5 minutes and I'll get set up.
Okay. Well, I'll put another piece of music on and then we'll come back to you.
All right. Okay. All right. I'll get all switched on. I'll talk to you in a couple.
No bother.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Okay. Well, that's just surprising. Ivor there off the cuff, as it were, but he clearly wasn't expecting me. So we'll go to another piece of music, and this is not dedicated to Paula. Welcome back to Reality Bytes Radio with Sovereign Independent UK Community Press Group. We've got Ivor Kellock on the line, and as I explained before the break, he's going to talk about social media, the good, the bad, the ugly, as it were. Met Ivor, about 2 months ago now, Ivor? A few months ago?
Yeah, probably, about that, something like that.
Yeah, we've been on a few trips together. If you just want to introduce yourself, say what your background is, and then we'll launch into social media and what we can do with it.
Yeah, okay. So I met Neil through Community Press Group, so I'm a citizen journalist, fully qualified as a citizen journalist through Community Press Group. I've been using social media for 7 years. I've been in sales and marketing all my life, so I've converged my sales skills, my marketing skills, and my social media skills to help charities, non-profits, businesses and organisations how best to use the internet and social media. And a statistic that I discovered about myself only a couple of weeks ago, looking at my CV and talking to somebody about what I'd done, I've actually been using the internet for more than half my working life, which is, I've been using the internet for 16 years, I've been working for 29 years. So I was quite impressed with that, if that's something to be impressed about.
If you say so.
Well, no, absolutely.
Were you in the kind of the dot-com bubble and all that? Were you in there at the start of social media as such?
No, I wasn't in at the start of social media, but I was certainly at the vanguard. So LinkedIn, I forget now, and I should know this number. LinkedIn's been going for 10 or 11 years, I think, somewhere around there. I've been using social media for 7 years. I was introduced. LinkedIn was my first proper social media platform that I used, and I started using that 7 years ago. And I got excited about it for two reasons. Firstly, I had a wealth management practice at the time, and it was without doubt a phenomenal prospecting tool for me to find new clients. But I also very, very quickly realised that social media is a phenomenal place to talk to people on a peer-to-peer level, on a one-to-one level, on a one-to-many level, and being able to cut out the middleman, so to speak. So being able to cut out mass media, government, and any large organisation that is either trying to control or manipulate what's going on. And that really, really, really excited me. And that excitement is continuing to grow and doesn't go away.
Well, that's what, like you just mentioned, the control aspect of it. That is the issue that would concern, a lot of people who are trying to get newsworthy items out into the wider world, as it were. And we've been at training days where people have voiced their concerns about using Facebook, Twitter, and those kind of things because of the the perceived or actual data mining which is taking place. And personally speaking, I believe that is the case that goes on. But from my own point of view, I mentioned before you came on, I'm not on Facebook or Twitter, but whatever I say on here is being recorded somewhere, I'm sure. And I really don't care, I think at this stage in the game, as it were, we see the state of the world and what's going on. People are getting blown up in foreign countries for what reason? It's never explained. It's time people started putting their fear in the dustbin and just coming out and saying what they want to say. And then, if there are dire consequences behind it, well, so be it. But that's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people are a bit more wary than that and or careful or whatever you want to call it. But in terms of the pitfalls, there are obviously basic ones. We've heard stories of young girls and boys being groomed online and all that kind of stuff. What would you say to that kind of aspect of it in terms of the types of information you should be very, very wary about giving away? Some people would they give away information that they think is unimportant, but it can be put together in such a way that people have a kind of a profile of you, and that people put profiles up. That's not necessarily exactly what they're like, but they'll give people hints in other ways, probably unconsciously, and people will prey on them. Have you come across any kind of people that's happened to, or even like the cyberbullying thing? There's a lot of stuff about that. But again, I think that's more to do with them trying to control the internet as it is at the moment. But in your own experience, would you have advised people how to protect themselves from such things?
Absolutely. Well, you've just touched on about 30 or 40 different points there that I could talk about. So let's see if I can unravel that and give my personal perspective on a lot of what you've said there. And if I'm rambling and off the point, then shout at me and rein me in, and I'll come back to where you want me to be.
We do rambling off the point here quite well. We do it every week. As listeners well know.
So look, where do I want to start? On a very simple level, in terms of protecting yourself, then if you don't want the wider world to know certain aspects of your life, then I would suggest that you never ever talk about them on anything to do with the internet. So there are certain conversations that I will have with people that I will only ever have face to face, and that's my personal choice, my personal right, and my decision, because, as you say, data mining is going on all the time. And so I'm a huge fan of Google. I love Google. I love Google's Outlook. I love what Google are doing, and I am a huge brand advocate of Google. Having said that, I use Gmail. I've got hundreds and hundreds of Gmail accounts because I've got lots of Twitter accounts, and I do all sorts of other things that require email addresses, and it's fairly straightforward to set up a free Gmail account. But a free Gmail account comes at a price, in as much as that you get advertising on there. And although there are legal protections over what they can and can't do with the data, clearly they are reading it in some way, shape or form, and whether they're publishing that information or whether they're using it for their own marketing purposes, difficult to actually ascertain that, because that's internal private information, and unless somebody gives that information out, i.e. somebody leaves the company or someone wants to do a WikiLeaks on them, then we're never going to truly know what's going on. Now, because I do client work and I work with commercial organisations, it means that I use Google as a search engine. I don't use Bing and I don't use Yahoo. I use Google. Just as a little side point there, do you know what Bing stands for?
Carry on.
Because it's not Google.
Okay, right.
Just a little useless piece of information there. So Google.
Do you know what Yahoo is?
Yahoo is an extension of not of an expletive, but of a word, isn't it?
The Yahoos were first mentioned in Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift as basically the masses, the idiot masses. That's who the Yahoos were.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, I had heard that. I'd forgotten that. But it's also it's like not a term of endearment or an expletive. I can't think of the correct term. But anyway, so I think something like 95 or 98% of Google's revenue comes from advertising, and therefore all of the data mining, all of the data analytics, all of the analysis that they do is about trying to provide you as an end user the most useful, valuable information that you want at that moment in time. And by providing that most useful, valuable information at that moment in time, they're hoping that you are likely to click on the adverts, i.e. the pay-per-click paid for links that are associated with the web. So whether you're using Google as a search engine and you see all the listing down the right-hand side of the search results, you get people are paying to be there, or whether you're looking at their ad network where you'll see adverts, and it normally called ad choices, that you might find embedded in web pages. So that's how Google generate their revenue. So it's important. Their stated mission is that they want to help organize the world's data. That's part of their stated mission, and they've run a large number of free stroke charitable projects over the years since Google have been in existence. And again, I should know this, it was Google's 11th or 12th birthday only a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, not that long ago. So they haven't been around that long, but they've been around long enough to become a huge global player, obviously. So as far as Google are concerned, they want to understand what you're doing and what your habits are online. And apart from your search habits, then obviously what's coming into your Gmail account and what's going on with your Google Plus, which is their social networking platform, they are without doubt mining information and mining data. Now, I'm not concerned about that at all. In fact, I'm very happy for them to know about all of my online habits, because I would like them to provide me with the most valuable, useful information and up-to-date information that they can provide me, because that's adding value in my life. And the quid pro quo to that is that I'm allowing them and letting them see what I'm doing online. Now, as I mentioned, I do client work. And so I might search for something quite specific or something quite general, and therefore Google are grabbing that information. So, for example, Bang & Olufsen, TV, hi-fi, audio-visual brand. I've done some work for a franchisee of Bang & Olufsen who have a shop, although they're no longer franchisees, but I did some work for them for about a year, which was getting Bang & Olufsen adverts on web pages when I was doing other types of search for other things, be that for clients or for my own personal information. Now, that's quite crude, really, because when I was searching for other things that had nothing to do with my client work at all, I was still seeing Bang & Olufsen adverts come up on web pages, and clearly that's because I had searched for Bang & Olufsen products in the past. At that moment in time, I had no interest in buying a Bang & Olufsen product. I had no interest in looking at what they had to offer, yet those adverts were still appearing. And the real point I'm trying to make is that Google still don't know what I'm thinking, and their ad network is still a million miles away from what I think about and what I'm actually wanting to happen and actually wanting to do. So at this moment in time, I'm very happy to share my information and share my data with Google, and they can do what they like with it, because they have so much data and so much information, they don't know what to do with it. And the analytics, and there's so many interesting things going on with social media in terms of them trying to recognize conversations, recognize the sentiment in a conversation, and then decide what they can do with that analysis once they've got it. And that's not only Google, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of startups and large organizations all fighting in that space. So my long ramble, and I'll come to a conclusion on this specific point, is at this moment in time, I'm not fussed about what Google or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or any other website or platform know about me, because the data that they are gathering is still a million miles away from what I'm actually thinking. The moment that I see adverts popping up that relate to thoughts that I'm having in my head, where I know I haven't done a search about it in the past, that's the time when I'm going to start feeling scared.
Yeah, well, I think we should all put in random searches now and again, like snail farming in the Himalayas or something, or stuff like that, and just to throw them off track a little bit. spend an hour putting in random searches or any old rubbish.
You can do that if it helps you feel better. I learned an awful lot about social networking from a married couple called Thomas Power and Penny Power that set up a social networking site that was based in the UK that went global, called Academy. I went on there, I don't know, where are we? So I started 7 years ago, so that's 2006. I think I probably went on there about 2007, maybe 2008, can't remember. And I helped them build that network, and eventually Academy went pop, and I'm still not quite sure why it went belly up, but it did. But the key one thing that I'll share from my learning from meeting Thomas and Penny was that they suggested that there are two ways of being active and effective online. You're either closed, selective and controlling, or open, random and supportive. Now, the closed, selective, controlling mindset is old school thinking, and you can track that back to the monarchy and old hierarchies that go back thousands and thousands of years, where you have one person or a small group of people at the top that don't share openly, don't talk about what they're doing openly, and try and control a large number of people. And if we look at our world today, we can see that that's how governments still work, that's how monarchies still work, that's how large corporations still work. There are a few people that sit at the top of the tree and control the information that they share, control the people that work under them, and are selective in what they do. The internet is about being open, it's about accepting randomness, and it's about supporting people around you. Now, that can be criticised in all sorts of different ways, but I think that is a really simple, easy to understand methodology of, if you want to go online and be online, that's how you will be successful, and that's how you will build trust and build a network around you. And if we all build networks around us, we all have an opportunity of taking back that control that was either taken away from us thousands of years ago or has slowly ebbed away from us over thousands of years, depending on your perspective.
Yeah. How do you feel about the latest thing that, it's Facebook were doing it before, but Google are now using your picture, your facial picture, your names, and put them into ads? I mean,
I don't care.
No, but I mean, it's obviously you give your permission when you sign it, when you click that new terms and conditions, but it's as you say, you either use it or you don't, and you click the terms and conditions, you get what you get, I suppose. But I suppose the secret is, if you don't want a picture appearing in ads, don't put a picture online.
Well, look, they're going to be quite selective about it, and they're going to be quite careful how they use it, because if they use it willy-nilly, they're only going to use it when somebody else that they think that you're connected to in some way, shape or form, who knows you, is looking at the same web page. And they're doing that specifically because there's a simple formula: know, like, trust. You're never going to open your wallet and spend money with anybody until you get to know them, you like them, and you trust them. And putting a picture up of somebody that you loosely know online is helping build that trust.
Yeah.
So I've got no issue with that whatsoever, simply because, I don't know, maybe I'm more worldly wise than the average person. I don't know, that my buying decisions are still much more complicated and more complex than simply showing my picture next to a washing machine or a TV or a consultancy service.
Yeah, I remember years and years ago, there was this big some poll or something that was done to show how much people are influenced by ads and stuff. I mean, I'd like to think I'm not, because I'm not somebody who goes out and buys a load of stuff. I just don't. Can't remember the last time I bought a pair of jeans or whatever. I just when I want to buy something, I go out and buy it. I don't go, oh, that looks good online, buy that. But
you don't. You're thinking about it there's a whole neuroscience around marketing, and what happens in your subconscious you're not necessarily aware of, and what's going on in your subconscious still drives a lot of your decision making, even if you're not consciously aware of it. And the numbers vary enormously, but we are bombarded, certainly in the Western world, by thousands and thousands and thousands of messages on a daily basis. And just because you're not specifically going out looking to buy something, you are still being bombarded with those messages, and those messages are still going into your mind and still sitting in your subconscious. So you are influenced by it, even though you may not consciously be aware of it.
Yeah, but the upside of that is I don't have the money to buy anything, so I don't.
Well, there you go. Well, that's a whole different discussion and a whole different debate.
Yeah, I know. Okay, well, we'll go to another piece of music. This is the Buzzcocks, and What Do I Get? Welcome back to Reality Bytes Radio, and the Awake Radio chat box. There's a few comments in there. I'll just read through a couple of these, and you can maybe just give a quick answer to these, Ivor. Somebody said, I thought Google was a spy who is pretending to love us, and in the future we will trust what it tells us more than the info from our friends.
Sorry, say that again.
I thought Google was a spy who is pretending to love us, and in the future we will trust what it tells us more than the info from our friends. And then another comment says, people already trust it more.
That statement makes no sense. You can see Google as a spy if you choose to see it that way, and yes, they are spying on us, because they're looking at what we do and what we say, and they're looking at our habits. Now, you can look at that positively or negatively. You can look at it positively and buy into their vision statement and their mission statement. That is, that they want to organise the world's data and make it easier for us to find information online, and obviously they're saying that because that's how they earn their revenue. Now, the flip side to that, of course, is they're mining all that data and storing all that information. What else are they going to do with it? And only time will tell. But there's one really important point and really important thing that you need to understand, that if you don't sign into Google and you choose not to use Google, you're not giving them any of that information at all. So if you are really scared about that and really unhappy about that, then don't use them. It's that simple.
Welcome back to Reality Bytes Radio. I don't know what happened there. We just seemed to get cut off all of a sudden.
Us line is buggered off.
Well, language. I just had a...
Internet, can't we be free?
Well, the American networks tend to drop off if we use bad language, so,
Really?
They're a bit fussy over
okay,
there.
apologies.
Be careful. Anyway, a comment here we discussed during the break, and I think there was a possible misunderstanding on the figures. But somebody's claiming you said Google had 95 to 90% of the search engines searches.
I don't remember saying that. If I did say that, I apologise. In America, I haven't looked at that number for a few months now, so my memory is fading a little bit. But I believe Google have probably somewhere between 60 and 65% of search in the US. In the UK, it's much higher. I think it's about 80 or 85%. On mobiles in the UK, Google have almost exclusivity on search. I forget the numbers in the States, but it is higher. And of course, you've got Bing and Yahoo there that mop up the vast proportion of the rest of that search.
Okay. The chap earlier who was talking about privacy has said, you're right. I'll paraphrase to say read it all out. If you use it, you accept their, you accept the terms and conditions. That's your own loss of privacy if you want to give up. And as you say, if you don't want to give up your privacy, don't use it.
So let's just touch on that point. So I said, if there are things that you don't want to be picked up and stored and analysed, then don't say it online. It's that simple. You can still have conversations, and if there are things that you don't want to share, then don't share them. It's the beauty of the internet, and that's where my skills come in when I'm working with commercial organisations, is that using the internet is a different communication platform. It's fundamentally different to watching the TV, reading a newspaper, going to the cinema, looking at billboards, looking at advertising in magazines. It's a fundamentally different way of communicating. The internet, when you are looking at a screen that is no more than 12 or 18 inches away from your face, you have tunnel vision almost, and you are mainlining into somebody's mind, and you have to recognise that and respect that when you're communicating. And the flip side to that, of course, is that you get sucked into that and you forget what you're doing and you forget what you're saying, and therefore you need to switch your own little filter on to say, well, if I don't want Google or Bing or Yahoo or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or other people in the wider world to know everything that's going on in my life and everything that I think, then don't type it, don't say it, don't video it.
Yeah, of course. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to keep up with the chat box here. The comment just came in. This is coming from a guy who's, how shall I put it? He's in the data mining industry. We'll call it that. Okay. And he was saying that the figures for Google worldwide are basically 65% to 70%. I don't know. I'm getting two opposing arguments here, but I don't know anything about the subject, so I'll just have to take it as.
I know the UK numbers,
both right.
because Google are American. Those numbers get reported widely, and therefore I stumble across them without even having to look for them. So they're the numbers that I know. From country to country, they vary enormously. Around the rest of Europe, I have looked at the numbers in the past, and I honestly can't remember what they are.
Okay, it's figures. I'm sure they vary from year to year even. But anyway.
Not hugely. Well, apart from in America, where Google have lost market share over the last few years, as Bing and Yahoo have got their act together again, or Bing have got their act together and been more aggressive in the market. And Yahoo was Marissa Mayer as CEO. She's been there for just over a year now. They're getting their act together again.
Okay, well, that's we'll put that one to bed. Moving on now, we're in the I hate to use the word business, but we're in the business of trying to get information out to people.
Yeah.
On a large scale, because as most people listen to this radio broadcasts and others will know that there's a kind of time thing, time consideration to be taken into account here, because things are moving rapidly. And I discussed before you came on air the electricity and gas prices going up, old people having their heating allowances taken off them, and basically, food banks exploding all across the UK because people can't even feed themselves.
In the US as well.
And of course, yeah. I'm I'm primarily talking about the UK here, but yeah, of course. I mean, all over the so-called westernized world. I mean, this is happening, and so time is important, and getting information out to as many people as possible in a short space of time. The only way to go is the internet. I mean, there is no other way. You can't do it with pen and pencil, bits of paper, and posting stuff all over the world, because for one thing, it's expensive, and most people, well, nobody would have the time to do it. I mean, I don't know how many people I'm talking to here, but even if it was 100 people or 200 people, you'd spend all week writing letters to those people, and posting them out and all the rest of it on all different subjects.
Well, you can all with the power of computers, you can automate that to a degree. So you don't necessarily have to handwrite 100 letters. You can print them out if you choose to do that, and you can automate your labels and whatever. So you can get messages out there by snail mail if you choose to, and it won't take you that long. But the postal services are, well, apart from companies like eBay and Amazon feeding the parcel industry, there are certainly significantly less letters being sent, because we are all, in the Western world that is, turning to the internet. Now, you've got to remember that if we look at the world as a whole, only about I think it's got to about a third. Only about a third of the world's population are connected properly to the internet. So that's still 2/3 of the world's population that aren't connected yet, or connected very inefficiently, because they don't have the infrastructures that we were lucky enough to have as laid cable telephone networks that provided the internet for us.
Yeah, of course, a lot of those people won't have access to even electricity and water. I mean, but I take your point. But there's still 2/3 of the world that aren't connected either in any way or barely.
Because they haven't got water or electricity, don't think that they're not connected. They've all got mobile phones.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
and where things are going to move forward rapidly, and that's why Apple brought out their although it's not that much cheaper really, their cheaper iPhone, because the growth for them, and remember, a company is there to make a profit. The growth for them is selling to those 2/3 that are yet to be connected.
Yeah, of course. Going back to the initial point about getting information out. I mean, that's primarily what you do. That is your background in
absolutely
marketing on social media and stuff. So how can we use the tools that are there, even although they are spying on us or mining our data, whatever? How can we best use it? I mean, I don't know if you need to go through different platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and the differences between them or not. But how can we best use them to get the information out? It's basically why I got you on, because that's what we need to be doing.
So the first thing is that if you're concerned about the data mining, then you need to get yourself into a mindset of remembering that you're talking on the internet, so you will only share what you're happy for other people to know. And if you want other people to know things, then you've got to accept that it's going to be data mined as well. So get yourself into the right mindset, and then choose one or maybe two platforms. So whether you want to do Facebook, or you want to do Twitter, or you want to do LinkedIn, choose one of those to begin with to get used to the idea. And you want to be building a following, so you want to be sharing useful, valuable information that other people want to know about, and go and find like-minded people and start talking to them. They will then begin to follow you, and when someone follows you, and whether that's on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or wherever, they will then see the things that you are posting, the information that you are posting in their news streams.
Yeah, that's I've tried going on LinkedIn because somebody suggested it to me, And I found that there was a constant stream of stuff. So obviously, the information does get passed around. But I just found it so frustrating that I had all this stuff coming in, and I had to read through it all. And do you know what I mean? And if you got a Facebook account, a Twitter account, and a LinkedIn account, and a Google Plus account, I mean, you could spend all day sitting in front of the computer just reading messages all day. That's what I found anyway, personally.
Yeah. It can blow your mind. Because it's perfectly possible for you to connect up to huge amounts of data flows, but then it's how do you start filtering that yourself, and how do you start filtering that in a way that means that you are still getting that valuable, useful content. If we take our minds back 20 years, 10 years maybe, let's say, then you would only be getting your news and your information from either a news channel or news bulletins on a TV or radio show on the hour, on the half hour or whatever, and then you might choose to read a newspaper, and you'd scan that and you'd read the stories that interested you within that newspaper. So you might have got 5, 10, 20, 30 news stories a day, and very often those news stories are going to cross over between those different channels, because they're all going to be reporting the same things. They're also only likely to be reporting big global stories, whatever you want to define as a big global story, and the media very often create those stories themselves inadvertently, and sometimes that's because we're all interested and we want to see it, and sometimes they choose to push that out. But my overall point I'm trying to make is that there was a time when, yes, other people were doing that filtering, and that's what excites me so much about the internet, that it is still free, that people are still sharing lots and lots of information, and therefore you can then begin to start choosing the news that you want to be hearing about, which is almost certainly going to be very different to the news that you are given, either whether you're paying for a news channel or getting it for free.
Yeah, from my point of view, I'm more interested in getting the information out to people rather than receiving a load of it, because I mean I can access most of the information I really need to do what I'm doing. But my thing is to get the information out. And I think that's possibly more important than
why do you only want to get the information out and not hear what people are also saying about it?
Well, I can generally find that stuff myself, but the problem I've had and other people is getting information out to a wider audience, and that's where social media comes in.
This is a really important, interesting philosophical point. I still don't understand why you only want to broadcast, because if you're not listening to what you're broadcasting, what's the point in broadcasting?
Well, I do listen to what broadcast. I'm listening now, but
when I say broadcast, I'm talking about posting a message on LinkedIn, or posting something on Twitter, or posting something on Facebook. If you want to share information that you think is going to valuably change the world and have an impact on people's lives, that change can only happen if more than one of us chooses to get involved.
Well, of course. I mean,
okay. So to get people involved, you want to be listening to what people are saying to your news story. So that means that you need to be quite focused on what it is that you want to talk about, or you need a team of people around you that are like-minded, that can then start sharing information together. But there aren't enough hours in the day to deal with all the issues. So you've got to choose what it is that you want to be talking about.
Well, I realise that. I've actually said that to people before in the past who are trying to cover, for argument's sake, a dozen different subjects, which are all huge subjects, and they get so bogged down in finding out a little bit about each thing that they actually don't find out much about the deeper information, if you like, of each individual subject, and you have to discipline yourself just to focus on 2 or 3 issues that you're primarily interested in.
So it comes back to a basic philosophy of life. What is it that you're really passionate about? What is it that you want? You talk about because you talk about it because you want to, because it's important to you, not because you're being paid for it, or because that's how you earn your living, or because your mates are doing it. You talk about the things that are really important to you. And of course, lots and lots of things are really important to us, but it's impossible for us all to know everything about everything. So how can you fill your day usefully, valuably, and in a way that is going to help yourself and the people that you care about around you? Pick on those few things that are important.
Okay. What in terms of okay, we use Facebook as an example because that's possibly the most popular one that everybody knows.
But the official numbers are over 1 billion, although there's a fair proportion of fake accounts on there, but I'm sure they're 750 million, probably somewhere around there, real people.
Okay, but I mean, in terms of like the techniques involved, I mean, I've used it in the past, quite a few years ago, and basically it was just linking articles onto a web page and nothing more really. There was a few comments that needed answered and stuff like that, but I generally didn't have much to do with it, so I probably wasn't utilising it as well as I could have done. I mean, are there other kind of processes you can go through to ensure that, you can use it to its best advantage, shall we say?
Yeah. So here's the thing. You're really excited. You clearly understand and see the connectivity and the opportunity of using the internet and using social networks to be able to spread messages far and wide. But you have to build your own infrastructure around you. They don't do it for you. And that infrastructure is quite simply connecting up with people and having friends. And and when I say the word friend, when I'm talking about online, an online friend isn't the same as an offline friend. They're massive differences between the two. An online friend is someone that just supports you and is your advocate and enjoys what you're talking about. That's it. When you have a real world friend, you're going to go down the pub and have a drink with them, go out for a meal with them, go partying, support them. If they're having a bad time, you're going to go and have a chat and see what you can do for them. Now, you can do a lot of that online if you want to, but online for me isn't all about that. And in fact, if you start going down that route online, you are opening yourself up to be abused, either to be ripped off and have money taken off of you, or to people start acting as trolls and becoming nasty towards you. Because let's not go down that one anymore. Remind me the question again.
But basically, what kind of techniques are there to utilize
that's right. I was talking about building your own infrastructure. So on the one hand, you want to be sharing the stories and the information that's important to you, but it isn't only about sharing that information. That's your broadcast mode, if you like. That's your opportunity to open discussions and have conversations with people. But to have those people, you've got to connect up with people first. So on Facebook, that means that they're called friends. You connect up with people that are friends, and you can define what a friend is in all sorts of different ways. So I made the very simple comparison there about what I consider to be an online friend and an offline friend, but there's lots of different ways of thinking about that. So I'm considered an open networker, which means that I'm quite happy to connect up with anybody that makes an effort to reach out to me and say, Ivor, I'd like to be your friend online. And being an open networker, that means that I'm building large networks of people that I can talk to at one time. So on LinkedIn, for example, which is the social network I spend most of my time on, I've got 30,000 first level connections, which is the maximum that you can have. And when I say 30,000, I've probably got 20 or 30 short of that, because I've connected up with fake accounts in the past, and LinkedIn are having a clear out every now and again and I lose them. But I've got a network there of 30,000 people all around the world, and a big proportion of those people obviously are in the UK. I've probably got more people in India and more people in America that I'm connected to, and lots of other countries around the world. Actually, I've never looked at how many countries I'm actually connected to, but probably I expect somewhere around the 100 mark, maybe even more than that. I don't know. So I've got that large network. So when I share something, when I share a piece of information, that information gets out to potentially all of those people, or potentially even more of those people. So my wider network on LinkedIn, so I've got 30,000 first level. I don't know what number that goes to on second level, but my overall network on LinkedIn, I think, is somewhere close to 34 million people. So I now have a network of people that I'm talking to now. Not those people aren't always listening to me. Those people aren't always using LinkedIn. They're not always online. They're not using it as much as me, but I have that opportunity and that ability. And as each week, each month goes by, my messages are tending to get out to more people. So coming back to your original question, it's all very well wanting to share this useful, valuable information, but at the same time, you've got to reach out to people and connect with them so that they actually choose to receive it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've used, as I say, I've used Facebook briefly in the past, and I've never used Twitter. I've never used Google Plus, and I was on LinkedIn briefly. I just couldn't deal with all the stuff that was coming in. It was just too much. I didn't have the time to go through it. But I just kept filling up my email box. But
look. So a simple practical point there. I don't look at. I've got a Gmail account where my LinkedIn emails come into, and I've got a little filter set up there where they all just go off into a LinkedIn folder, and I never ever look at them. So because I have the habit of going onto LinkedIn each day, I choose where I want to go to and the things I want to look at and the places and people I want to talk to, and I ignore all of those emails. Because if you're trying to deal with those emails, then you're right, very quickly you're going to be doing that and nothing else for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I just got a comment here. Facebook for people who can't Facebooks.
Nice, neat, like it. Certainly that is true for a percentage of people that aren't using Facebook. And if they're choosing not to, then that's entirely up to them. But equally, you can. I actually, apart from when I was a young kid and learning to read, well, beyond that point, up to about the age of 12, I read lots of books. But then books didn't interest me anymore. TV for me as a kid was so much more interesting. You had moving images, and it was just so much more exciting. So I went through a long period where I did read books, but nowhere near as many as I did when I was a kid. And then all of a sudden, when I discovered the internet 16 years ago, I've read so much more since then, because I get sucked into reading things that are associated with radio shows like this and MP3 files and podcasts, or me watching a video on YouTube or Vimeo or wherever else.
Yeah, I went through, well, when I was younger, I used to not be able to pass a record shop without going in and buying something, and now it's second-hand bookshops. I just have to go in and have a browse. I've got a fair stack of books now, but I've certainly read. I don't know, possibly 1,000. I don't know, over the past years. But total opposite with my dad, who openly admits he's never finished reading one book in his life, which I find quite bizarre. But
do you know what? I bet you that we could get them interested in understanding and seeing and learning things by video and podcasts and other things, just because they choose that they don't like reading. And I absolutely relate to that. I get bored of reading a book. That's just the way my head works.
Yeah, well, my dad's got an iPad. He got that a couple of years ago. So I mean, he's now on the internet. He's only been on the internet for the last, year and a half, 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, they're getting to it, I suppose. And my mother used it for Facebook and all the rest of it. So, yeah, the older generation seem to...
So when you... my mum uses the internet. She manipulates photos and emails them to her mates and prints them out and does all sorts. So, and she uses Skype as well. And in fact, she makes her phone calls through the internet as well because it's cheaper.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So age is no barrier to using the internet. The one thing that I learned a long time ago, when I was beginning to think that I was a bit of an expert, is that the internet is so huge and so many things changing and going on. Don't think that you're ever going to be an expert, but at the same time, just go with it and enjoy it and get involved, because it isn't that hard. And if you're struggling with it, find someone that can show you, because there are plenty of people around that will show you what to do. Most of what I know is from watching other people and learn things, or doing a search and stumbling across something because I am to stumble across it when I was searching for whatever it was I happened to be looking for. So I'm saying I'm self-taught. I've had a little bit of training along the way, but very little really. It's all about it. So,
okay. But I'll put this. I'll put this to you. Say somebody came up with a concept. It doesn't matter what it is. Any concept from day one, from scratch. And in terms of right, you'll say, right, okay, let's do Facebook. Let's do this. I mean, what's the potential growth, shall we say, for want of a better word, of that concept going out and being picked up? I mean, what kind of time span are you talking about?
What concept are you talking about?
Well, it doesn't matter, anything. Say it was somebody was wanting to advertise a business product or something, or anything. What's the say in 6 months, I mean, how many people do you think would have got information about that product if it was put out by, someone like yourself or a group of people on Facebook?
All right, okay. That's an impossible question to answer.
Well, it depends on the product and stuff, but I mean, obviously.
Well, no, because there are so many variables involved in that. That's a question we could talk around that forever. So let me see if I can answer that in a different way. You're absolutely right. It depends entirely on the product. It depends on the price of the product. It depends on how popular your product is going to be. So is it a mass market product, or is it a product that only 100 people on the planet are ever going to buy? Because either the only ones that can afford to buy it, or they're the only ones that are going to ever be interested in your idea because it's so out there on the edge that, someone else is interested.
I'll put it another way. I'll say, right, okay, the product's information and it's free.
Yeah.
So that's the product.
The product's information and it's free. Well, the internet thrives on free somewhere, somehow. So there is, if that's it, then it's going to get nowhere because you're just going to become part of the rest of the noise. So how do you cut through that noise? So whatever your product is that you're still giving away and it's free, how are you differentiating yourself? Who is it that you want to be talking to? Why are they going to be interested in listening to what you've got to say? What's different about what you're sharing? Because the chances are someone else has already thought about it and already doing it, and that's cool. There's no reason why you can't be doing it as well. Let's look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi, and of course there's thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of those probably on the market, all copying in some way, shape or form. But Pepsi and Coke are the two big brands there. Clearly there doesn't only have to be one, there can be two in a market. So if you've got something to give away free and you want to share it, then go and share it. But remember that some other people are almost certainly doing it as well. And even if they're not doing it, why do people want to listen? Because there's so much noise out there. How are you going to grab their attention in the first place to get them to even want to consider listening and reading, watching, buying, whatever it is that you're trying to do? So what is it that you're trying to do?
That's the question. that's the question. How do you get them to read the information? How do you get them to look at it? How do you market them?
So
something's free.
So what? It'd be so much easier to use an example. What example do we want to use? Someone's selling a better spreadsheet, or I say a better. Someone's trying to sell a spreadsheet, and obviously Excel have got a huge slice of that market. And OpenOffice, which is free software that you can download if you put OpenOffice into your search engine, has a fairly large chunk of that market, and it's almost identical to Office. It is different. And then there are loads and loads of other clones out there all doing the same. So if you're trying to sell or get people to buy into your way of producing spreadsheets, you've got to look at why you're different. What are the benefits? Why do you think you're better? And how do you justify and how do you show people that you are better? Because you're not going to have the opportunity of sitting down next to them and having a chat and having a beer and buying them lunch and going through the whole process and cajoling them and getting them to recognise the benefits at the same time. You've probably got a second or two to initially grab their attention and start hooking them into thinking, well, actually, this is something quite interesting. This is actually solving a problem in my life, making it more fun, making it more interesting, making it different, i.e. your differentiator. So what are they? Why would people be interested? And then you have to start thinking about, well, who are those people? What do they look like? Are they teenagers? Are they in their 30s? Have they got kids? Are they empty nesters? Are they widows? Who are the people? Why are they likely to want to have your product? Now, of course, if you've got big aspirations for your product, then you're going to clearly say, everybody wants to have my product. So then you've lost that thought completely because you're not focusing down at all. It's a fairly recognised process for any new product. It goes through a little cycle. And the numbers say that the first 2.5% of people you capture, they call them innovators. So they have a particular type of mindset and they're really interested in new things, in things that are different. They're quite happy to try new things and try different things just because it is new and different, and they get a buzz out of doing that. And I, on occasion, depending on what the product is, I can put myself in that category. I like to play with things and see how things work and see how things fall apart and how things are different. So you need to think about who those people are. And what do they do? What do they buy? Where do they go? Do they drink tea? Do they drink coffee? And we're now in the realms of marketing. You can play that game forever and ever and ever. And with a little bit of experience, you can begin to recognise little trends and little patterns in that. So we're now thinking about those innovative type of people. Once you get beyond the innovators, you're then talking what they say are early adopters, where I think it's the next 14% or so of the market. So they are slightly more cautious, slightly more pessimistic than your innovator who's happy to try anything just because it's a laugh and it's different. They're going to start thinking, well, yeah, I can see there's some benefits there, but they're new. Are they going to be around in 3 months' time? I've been using Excel all my life. Do I really want to make a change? But you say the right things in the right places, and some of those people are going to say, yeah, right, okay, yeah, then yes, I will. So there you've got, I've forgotten the numbers now, what's that, 16% of the market. You then go into your first major phase of growth, and whether you want to talk about building followers on your social networks, if you want to talk about launching a new product, if you want to talk about growing a business from being a $1 million company into a $10 million company, you then have to start thinking about where's the next growth phase, where are you going to appeal to people, and you have to recognise that they think differently. So I've been rambling for a while. Yeah. Roll me back in.
I've got a couple of comments again. I would use search engine optimization first, then AdWords if it was a business, then put in place a social media campaign. If the information is specific, then write about it, blog it, and use key phrases that are relevant to the info. Build organically.
Right. Oh, wow. We've got a very technical audience by the sounds of it, because all using internet terms. So yes, if you're looking to promote online, then you need to start thinking about keywords, because that's how Google's algorithm, that's one of the key principles certainly in Google's algorithm, and of course Bing and Yahoo follow that. It's what are the keywords, the key phrases, what is the information that you're looking for, or from your perspective you're writing about, what is the information that you're writing about, and how do you connect that to the audience, the people that you want to come and listen to what you have to say or buy your product. And the way that you do that, if these people don't know that you exist and you recognize that there are billions and billions and billions and billions of websites and web pages on the planet, how do you find those things? That data is all hugely uncluttered and a phenomenal amount of data. I forget the numbers now. Google have got I think 8 or 10 data centers, or the amount of servers they've got. If you think of a server being, I don't know, 50 or 60 centimeters long, like an old piece of hi-fi, if you like, and 10 centimeters tall, and I don't know, 30 centimeters deep now, but maybe I'm sure they're a lot smaller now, but you think they're stacked up 10, 15, 20 foot, I don't know, 10 meters, let's say 30 foot that would be, and they've got football pitches full of those. And that's all just churning our search information and the other information that they're running to run their platform. So my point is, there's a massive amount of ones and zeros floating around on the planet, all being powered by electricity, of course. So you wonder why electricity bills going up. Our politicians have let us down massively over the last 10 years, 20 years, because they've run away from the issue of having to plan for the future. Certainly in the UK, they're threatening that the lights are going to go out again this summer, aren't they? Sorry, this winter. Why does I say so much? Winter. Because we've got demand outstripping what we need. Anyway, back to the point. So to connect what you're writing about to people that are going to be interested in you, you have to have keywords in your articles. Absolutely critical. So in the web page that the article's on, you want to get your keywords in there, in the titles on the page, and then obviously within the wording of the article that you're writing about. Don't put too many of those words in. That's called keyword stuffing. That's a technique that goes back a very long time, and Google picked up on that very quickly in their algorithm, the way that they index web pages and bring you the information that you're looking for. Pages like that are penalisable. People don't do that anymore. Well, they tend not to do that. So yes, you need your keywords in there. What were the other points that people made? Also, pay-per-click advertising. So that's directly associated with keywords. So when you search for something in Google, let's say, and you get your first page of Google results up, and likely to have 10 on that page, there'll be 2, 3, 4 adverts at the top, and they're coloured slightly differently and highlighted in a different colour. They're people that want to put themselves in front of you associated with those words, those keywords. So that's pay-per-click advertising, and then there's a whole platform behind Google that shows you how you bid for those words. There's a bidding system. There's an auction that goes on with those keywords, and you can set yourself a budget of how much you want to spend and when you want your adverts to show. That then takes you into a whole realm of internet marketing. Do we want to go into that detail now? I could quite happily go there. But...
Okay, we'll go to a piece of music and we'll come back and you can do internet marketing. How's that?
Okay, cool.
Okay, next tune is the Stranglers, Something Better Change. Welcome back to the final 15 minutes of Reality Bytes Radio tonight. We've still got Ivor here, and we were talking during the break about, we brushed on internet marketing. I don't know if he wants to go into that briefly, or is it too big a subject for 15 minutes? I don't know.
What? 15 minutes, 15 days, maybe. 15 minutes. So, look, I've already touched on a huge amount of what internet marketing is all about. But the one key takeaway I'd like to give is that you must think about that at the very beginning of what you're doing. So either you are prepared to allot time to working the internet for you, and whether that's doing social media or doing pay-per-click advertising or creating content on your website. It isn't only about creating content, it's also about recognizing how to market it. And if you want to be only the writer or only the creator, then you need to find like-minded people around you that are going to be prepared to do that for you, because without doing the two together, you're just wasting your time. It's your own personal diary, really. You're not getting a message out to a market that you want to get it out to. Hello.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, I was reading the chat box here. Yeah. I'm not a woman. I can't multitask. And you know what I'm like with technology.
Show me the pictures now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of us trying to get information out, I mean, there is no other option than to use the internet. I mean, it kind of goes without saying.
Look, you can still use pigeons if you want to, but you've got to recognise that it's not going to get to many people.
Yeah, I've not seen many pigeons around here either. So, we need a very large barn to keep them all in, wouldn't we? No, I mean, the internet's the only way to go, and I can appreciate what people say about privacy and such like, but you just don't put stuff up there that you don't want people to know.
But let's put things into perspective. When we didn't have the internet and we only had the post, they were still reading our letters. There's no difference. Don't use it as an excuse to not get involved.
Well, of course. And I say to people that they're supposed to be, looking for keywords and things like that. And I think I've used this phrase before. You just say, well, if everybody started throwing these words into their conversations totally innocently, it's like saying, well, I've just got a load of stuff. I'm going to go down to the car boot sale. I'm going to make a bomb. There's nothing wrong with that. So if they pick it up and I get a knock on the door, well, it's a perfectly innocent phrase. It's got nothing to do with it. But if that's the keyword they want to choose, fine.
The speech analytics and the sentiment analysis that goes on clearly recognises things that are that blatant. But you're absolutely right. If we're looking at the analytics there on sentiment and speech, then they can only do it to a certain point, and any time after that point, it has to be done by people, and still is. And there are huge teams of people out there that help crunch data down, possibly back into a format that they can then stick back into some algorithm, some form of computer program to deal with it.
Well, if they're looking for speech analytics through Skype, I mean, they'll have a hard job because it keeps crackling and going off air and all that stuff.
Bitchy, put your claws away.
Well,
No, you're absolutely right, though. I agree. No,
I mean, last week was awful. I mean, as Paula will tell you. So I mean, people do have genuine concerns, and I can appreciate that. But at the end of the day, we're in the business of getting information out, so we have no choice really, apart from the pigeons, but to get it out online, and that's where the audience is. So that's what we're going to do. We couldn't do this radio broadcast through the post. Put it that way.
Look. Here's the thing, and I'm being quite modern and quite pleased with this. I'm talking to you on my iPad in not my kitchen, someone else's kitchen. I come round to a friend's house, so I'm sitting in somebody else's kitchen, and I'm using a wireless Wi-Fi 4G connection through a mobile network. And there we go. And my mate's just making himself a bit of a snack because he's got a munch on.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, I mean, the people
my point
obviously...
is, here I am connected with that. Without that technology, I would never have met you.
Very true. And the people listening are in the same position. They're listening online. So, you know, I mean, if people have genuine concerns about privacy, then this has been recorded somewhere and kept somewhere.
Let's talk about Skype specifically. Skype have been asked the question on numerous occasions: do they record all the conversations and store it? And they haven't said yes, they haven't said no, but they haven't answered the question.
Well, there's a lot to be said for that, isn't there? But no, I mean,
I come back to what I said before. There are conversations I will never ever have with you on Skype. So I will talk to you about what I want to talk about, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as I say, like people are logged into Awake Radio, for example, and they're listening to this broadcast, and you know, I assume somebody knows they're logged onto this broadcast, way out there in the ether or whatever. So
well, so they let us believe, but I come back to my whole story about Google. There's so much data out there, and unless you've been a very, very, very naughty person and you've come up on their radar in all sorts of different places, maybe they are listening to us, maybe they're not. But there's so much out there, and unless you're important, it doesn't matter.
Oh well, I'm not important, so it doesn't matter.
When and where you do become important, it starts getting a bit more interested, and then we start getting into the realms of WikiLeaks and places like that.
Yeah, well,
where we clearly see that governments are shitting themselves.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, no, I chose my word carefully there. That was chosen.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, governments. I mean, I've spoken about Cameron and his ilk before. I mean, these guys ain't gonna.
The posh boys at number 10 and number 11.
Yeah, they probably don't even know how to work a computer. You know, never mind.
Well, that's a naive view, but I genuinely don't know what Cameron thinks, because if I see what's reported in the media, then he clearly doesn't understand it at all. And I think his party doesn't really understand it, because the average age of the Conservative Party is 68 or 69. They're the funders. They're the people that the Tory party are certainly talking to at the moment. They're not talking to all of us. On that level, then I don't think they do understand. But of course, they have people there that do understand. The interesting race is who's going to get there first. Are we as individuals going to get there and connect up with one another and talk interesting things to one another so that we are connected, or are they going to try and control us before we get there? And the great thing is that however they try and control us, we'll find a way around it, because the internet is an organically growing thing. So that's why I'm not paranoid. Don't care.
No, I don't care either. I mean, if GCHQ are listening to this or listening to my phone calls, all well and good. Because,
I'd be quite honoured.
Well, I mean, if they are listening, guys, all we want you to do is do your job. It's as simple as that. You know, we're not the bad guys here. That's fair enough, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but they don't know what the job is.
Well, that's true. And
when they start listening to us a bit more, they'll have an idea of what the job is.
Well, exactly. That's
no different in the States than it is to here.
No, not at all.
Are you closing down? I haven't seen any news all day. So has a deal gone through in the States today, or are we still closing?
Yeah. No, it's open for business again. Yeah. In between that and the Yeti stories, America's open for business.
No tea at the party today, then?
No. Well, apparently Obama said, I mentioned this at the start of the broadcast, that Obama's come out and said that Americans are getting fed up with Washington. Well, I mean, British folk are getting fed up with Westminster, aren't they?
I was going to say you could add the Globe in there.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It's, so they're open for business again, but they're completely bankrupt, of course. But they're open for business.
Till February, wasn't it? If I read rightly, the deadlines were being set for February, but of course that could have changed in the last 12 hours or so. Well,
they need more money for the wars. You know, that's it. That's what they need the money for. Not to feed people. The highlight of the day on a lot of papers seems to be the Yeti story.
Oh, really? I have no concept whatsoever.
The The Yeti lives. Abominable Snowman is part
Oh no,
polar
but
bear.
there's a new TV series coming on about Yetis, or isn't there?
Oh,
I'm
is there?
sure
Oh, well, that's possibly what this is all about then.
So that's exactly what it's all about. Yeah,
It's an advert.
I've seen Yeti stuff, I'm sure, on the telly.
Yeah. Well, apparently it's part polar bear and still roams the Himalayas, but we keep getting told all the polar bears are dying off. So I mean, I don't know.
What do they call? I've forgotten. What do they call it out in the Himalayas? What do they call the Yeti?
The Abominable Snowman.
Sasquatch. That's it.
Or Sasquatch. Yeah.
Sasquatch. That's it.
Yeah. Or Bigfoot or whatever. Yeah.
So anyway, we've gone. How did we get there? Oh, so we're talking about the Yeti. So yeah, that's the reason why that's. So if we've got a TV series being released here, presumably that was released in the States. I don't know, probably 6 months or a year ago. But
yeah. Well, just to make the point that if I didn't have the internet, I would not know about the Yeti story, and I'd be highly disappointed.
Well, that's a dangerous game to play because now people can say, "Well, I never wanted to know about it in the first place." That's a bad place to go, man. Be careful. We're trying to be positive about the internet here, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, there was something else I saw today, but I can't remember what it was. It was something equally as ridiculous. But anyway, we'll round it up, yeah. And
cool.
Getting back to people's choice, whether to use internet or not. This is that petrol emotion and big decision.
It's up to you.
I hope we're up there. I'm not sure if we are or not. Getting an echo.
Oh, are you? Or I'm being told. I've got no idea. Are we live still?
I don't know.
Or have we got a tune going? I think the only way I'm going to be able to get rid of an echo would be to put a headset in, and I haven't got a headset with me.
No, you're still live.
Oh, excellent.
Maybe if you can mute in between. This is a new thing that's happened in the last little bit of this recording.
Okay,
I think I'm coming over double on you too.
Yeah. But we're just going to go up here anyway. So we'll just play the tune. Say good night.
Well, look, it's been a pleasure speaking, talking to everybody. Hope it hasn't been too much of a ramble. Until next time.
You're listening to Awake Radio. Straight talk for the awake and aware.